Tonight, we begin with a closer look at the fourth, possibly final, GOP presidential debate. On the stage in Alabama were former South Carolina governor and UN ambassador Nikki Haley, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. Haley, who has been having a moment in recent weeks, took on most of the attacks.
You were bankrupt when you left the UN. After you left the UN, you became a military contractor, and now you're a multimillionaire. That math does not add up. It adds up to the fact that you are corrupt.
Love all the attention, fellas. Thank you for that.
Meanwhile, the frontrunner for the nomination, former President Donald Trump, sat this one out yet again. There's a lot to unpack tonight, so joining me now is Kall, Director of Debate at the University of Michigan. Thanks for joining me today, Aaron.
Well, it's great to be with you.
So here we are in the latest chapter of the battle for second place. Of course, all of these candidates are looking to be the alternative to former President Donald Trump. Who do you think came out on top with that goal last night?
Yeah, last night, I think Florida Governor Ron DeSantis had the best overall debating performance. As you mentioned, Haley was under fire by everybody else. I think the most she's been attacked in any of the previous four debates. So she was on the defensive for a good portion of the evening and didn't get as much speaking time as some of the others as well. Only got about 17, 18 minutes, which is rare for a front runner in the debate. So, DeSantis recently debated California Governor Gavin Newsom on Fox, and I think that showed his recent debate experience and had some momentum coming in from that. And the one advantage that DeSantis really had last night was that he's the only current politician, a sitting governor in Florida, and on a lot of the issues, including some of the social hot button issues that they discussed, he could point to different things that he's done in Florida, tangible legislative things where the others have just served, but it's been several years.
Yeah. Would you say Ron DeSantis is on an upswing? He was initially supposed to be the very clear front runner, the clear challenger to Donald Trump, and kind of has been struggling to really get a foothold, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. I'd say maybe a very brief upswing because, yes, the last several months have been very tough. Going back to when he won re-election resoundingly in Florida in 2022, there were some polls showing him ahead of Trump at that point and a very credible alternative, but it's been kind of a disaster of a launch, and the debates have helped Nikki Haley more than him. And so he's now basically, at best case scenario, tied with her, and in places like New Hampshire, he's behind. So maybe this last week or so with two solid debate performances will provide some momentum for his campaign heading into January of next year when voting starts in Iowa. And it just sounds like today, CNN has announced two additional debates in Iowa, New Hampshire in January. So that'll give him some final opportunities before the voting starts.
Sure. Let's talk more about Nikki Haley, who started not with the most momentum when this whole season began, but really seems to relish in some of that attention and some of these contentious moments in debates. They seem to be helping her quite a bit.
Definitely. No candidates benefited more from these debates and maybe the exclusion of Trump from these debates. She's really been kind of the center. And as you mentioned, she started out kind of as an afterthought. She was all the way on one side of the stage, just polling in the low single digits. But she had an excellent initial debate in Milwaukee and has only gathered momentum, endorsements from the Koch network, getting a lot of new donors to the campaign. And so she's basically neck and neck as second nationally and second now in New Hampshire and right there with DeSantis in Iowa. So she's a very formidable debater. She's former governor of South Carolina, United Nations ambassador. She had a lot of very contentious debates as she was running for governor. So she has experience being on all these all-male debate stages, and she's just very comfortable, has a lot of experience, and is not afraid to mix it up, as you saw in the clips. And she's had several of these exchanges with Vivek Ramaswamy in previous debates, and last night she kind of went toe-to-toe with Ron DeSantis for one of the first times, and she could definitely hold her own on the debate stage. And all the candidates are just hoping that they are the last remaining viable alternative to the frontrunner Trump, and maybe they'll get a crack at him on the debate stage in a one-on-one format before voting starts and before the contest is over.
Yeah, Aaron, there was a time earlier this year when most of the candidates seemed pretty hesitant to push back against the former president in any significant way. How have we seen that evolve?
It's definitely evolved. They pressed more at the beginning, although at the Milwaukee debate, the crowd was very pro-Trump and just booed when Christie tried to attack him and said he wasn't fit to be president or be the nominee. And so they kind of at that point were a little bit more hands off. And last night I thought we saw another change. While they hadn't attacked him as frontally the past few debates, last night the moderators really encouraged them to take a position on Trump, him not debating, and whether he's fit to be president. And some of the other moderators didn't want to reward him for debating and kind of just made him just a very small part of the debate. But last night, right front and center, they went after Trump. They talked about him. They played some clips and had some quotes from him and wanted people to take a position and also contrast themselves with him about governing philosophy and vision. And we saw a bigger contrast of that. But despite that, no one has figured out how to challenge Trump and not alienate his voters. All the candidates want to get some of the people who supported Trump either currently or at one time on their side. And so they can't go too far because that risks people either not voting or not voting for them. And so it's a very delicate balance and nobody's been able to figure out. And that's another reason that kind of Trump's gamble of not participating in these debates have paid off. Nobody's been able to challenge him directly, have him make a mistake. And in each debate we have, Trump's lead, both nationally and the early states, has only increased. So no one's figured out the code yet.
Yeah. So from where we stand now, and considering the former president's trials in the coming year may affect things, do you think any of these candidates really have a chance of seriously competing with Donald Trump?
Not in a conventional sense. I mean, you look at all the polling, and even there's some very sophisticated polling that shows, oh, what if it is a head-to-head of Trump versus DeSantis or Trump versus Haley? And it's really not close in those contests. So I don't think any of them are going to upset him in Iowa or New Hampshire and then just kind of run the table or increase momentum. But I think all of them just are kind of sticking around to see, what happens. Who knows? Politics is very, anything can happen. Trump is 77 years old. As you mentioned, he's got a lot of, criminal trials coming up. There's civil issues in New York. So who knows what the result of those will be. If he does get convicted in a trial before the convention in July, could that affect some voters' minds? Yes. And so I don't think they're going to overtake him anytime soon, and Trump still remains the prohibitive favorite. But you stick around for as long as possible because you don't know what's going to happen, and you want to be there in the event something uncertain does occur. And several of these candidates are very young. Haley, DeSantis, they've got many more races ahead of them. So even if this is not their time in 2024, if it's Biden, Trump again, both of them will only have one term left. And so 2028 will be wide open. And these debates allow them to increase their brand and fundraising and familiarize themselves with the public. So it may not be an immediate gain, but they're playing the longer term game for their recognition and brand because they're going to be in politics and contests this likely for the next several years.
Yeah, it's a great platform. Before we let you go, Aaron, any predictions for Iowa? It's coming up.
Yeah, it's just about 4 or 5 weeks, and there's going to be one more big debate before it. But as of now, Trump seems like a prohibitive front runner, and the real battle is going to be for second place. I think if I had to predict, I think Ron DeSantis will be the runner-up, but by a wide margin, and we'll see then what that does to the next race in New Hampshire, who has the momentum then, and who's going to maybe emerge as that credible alternative in case something unusual happens. But it'll be Trump by a wide margin, but maybe DeSantis right now I think will be the favorite for Iowa in January.
Yeah, it's all heating up. Aaron Kall, Director of Debate at the University of Michigan. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Anytime.